Wow! You can say that again. This is the mother-in-law's tongue. But is the mother-in-law's tongue as long as this? Ha ha ha! From our land to yours, I bring you the variegated snake plant, otherwise known as the mother-in-law's tongue. That is so demoralizing. How can you call mother-in-law's tongue a snake plant? Can you imagine? That means that you think that mother-in-laws talk too much, or that what? Their tongues are so sharp that they say nasty things? Is that what you're saying? Anyway, the variegated snake plant has striking striped leaves. It is indeed a marvel of resilience. The variegated snake plant thrives in a variety of environments. You can see here it is in my room, just by the window, which is most times closed. It is hardly opened. And so this variegated snake plant hardly receives any form of sunlight. Now, the variegated snake plant, the mother-in-law's tongue, can you believe is also called the Dracaena what? Trifasciata. Specifically, it is the Dracaena what? Laurenti? Yes. It is a species of a flowering plant in the family Asparagaceae. It is native to my tropical West Africa and, of course, in northern Nigeria. From the east to the Congo, the snake plants. The beauty of this plant can never ever be underestimated. But what else can you tell me about the beautiful snake plant? It is also known as what? The St. George's sword. Woo! The St. George's sword. The St. George's sword. The mother-in-law's tongue. The viper's bowstring hemp. Woo! It has so many synonyms, right? So, until 2017, this variegated snake plant, which is so beautiful as you can see here, it was known under the synonym Sansevieria trifasciata. Sansevieria trifasciata. Now, this plant is often kept as a house plant due to its non-demanding maintenance. Yep, I hardly take care of this plant. It has been in this pot for ages. It was by my balcony garden before, but I moved it inside this room. And as I mentioned before, it is just by this window. And this window is hardly ever opened. And that means, yes, it means that this snake plant hardly ever receives any form of sunlight. It is non-demanding. It can survive with very little water and sun. You can see the soil there. It's just slightly wet. And the last time I watered this snake plant was maybe a week ago. Although, yes, it's the rainy season right here in northern Nigeria. It's the rainy season, and so the air is quite humid. It's humid, and so the soil doesn't dry out, as you can see. This was watered about 2 weeks ago, and you can see the soil is still moist. This is a low maintenance plant, and it can survive with very little sun and water. I told you I hardly open these louvers. I hardly do. So this Sansevieria what? Laurenti, or what? The Dracaena trifasciata, the mother-in-law's tongue, the family of Asparagaceae, native to my northern Nigeria. Beautiful, beautiful plant. The St. George's sword, the snake plant, the viper's bowstring hemp, all synonyms for this beautiful, beautiful Sansevieria trifasciata, the snake plant of the kingdom Plantae, the clade Tracheophytes, an angiosperm, a monocot, Asparagalis, the family of Asparagaceae, the subfamily of Nolinoidae, and the genus of the Dracena. The what? Dracena wasn't Dracena. Trifasciata. Now, the binomial name is, of course, the Dracena, the Dracena trifasciata. Please tell me how to pronounce this. All right. So I told you it has so many synonyms, right? I've mentioned those synonyms before. The snake plant, Sansevieria variegata, another synonym. Sansevieria jacquini, Sansevieria laurenti, Sansevieria trifasciata, the snake plant, the mother-in-law's tongue. This is an evergreen perennial plant. It forms dense strands. Can you see some of those strands here? Yeah. There's a hole in this one. You can see the dense strands. So it forms dense strands, spreading by way of its creeping rhizome. Can you see this young one just coming out by the side? You can see the young ones, these younger ones. Can you see? Can you see this green one? It doesn't have that yellow streak by the side, right? Unlike these older ones that have the yellow streak by the side. You can see these young ones as well. These young snake plants. It, spreads by its rhizome. You can see it there. You know, uh, it creeps, right? It creeps, it spreads by way of its creeping rhizome, which is sometimes above ground, sometimes underground, and its stiff leaves grow vertically from a basal rosette. You can see the rosette there, right? You can see that rosette like a rose-like form. The long leaves come out from there. Can you see these beautiful new ones growing up, creeping up from the basal rosette, this lower rosette? Beautiful. So mature leaves are dark green, as you can see, compared to these lighter green ones. Look at these ones. The leaves are what? They are mature, right? Mature leaves are dark green with light gray cross banding. You can see these cross bandings. Can you see the cross bandings? Yeah. And they usually range from 70 to 90 centimeters, about 2.3 to 3 feet long. Yeah, you can see these ones. I think this is one of the largest Sansevieria snake plants I have. I put this in this room. It makes it look magnificent. Can you see it? Magnificent, right? So it can actually range from like 70 to 90 centimeters, which is about 2.3 to 3 feet long, and 5 to 6 centimeters, or 2 to 2.5 inches wide. You can see this beauty. Although it can reach heights above 2 meters or 6 feet. Wow. This one is on its way. Can you see that? The height, right? It can reach up to like 6 feet. Wow. That's about 2 meters if it is grown in optimal conditions. What a beauty. Now, the specific epithet, trifasciata, means with 3 bundles. That sounds interesting. So, the plant exchanges oxygen. The snake plant exchanges oxygen and carbon dioxide using the crassulacean acid metabolism process, which allows them to withstand droughts. Beautiful, beautiful, can withstand droughts. And the microscopic pores, you can see, you can't see the small pores on this plant, right? So they're microscopic. You can only see it under the microscope. And these pores on this plant's leaves called the stomata and used to exchange gases are opened only at night to prevent water from escaping via evaporation into the hot sun. Wow, that is so interesting. And to get this snake plant to go into bloom outside of its natural environment, it is quite difficult because replicating its natural environment is possible, but you can't get it perfectly right, like. So can you believe that it has flowers? Its flowers vary from greenish white to cream colored, and some are fragrant at night, while others are not at all, and they have a sticky texture. So did you know that this snake plant actually blooms? But it only blooms in its natural environment. And so most of the snake plants that we see around us, since they're mostly indoors and it is not replicating its natural environment, you hardly see snake plants actually bloom, right? Now, the Dracaena or the Dracaena trifasciata is commonly called, I told you, the mother-in-law's tongue, the St. George's sword, or the snake plant, because of the shape and the margin of the leaves, even the young ones. Yeah, like a snake. It resembles snakes, right? It resembles a snake. Just look at those beauties. It's also known as the viper's bowstring hemp because it is one of the sources for plant fibers. You can see this fiber here. It is also one of the sources for plant fibers used to make bowstrings. Wow, that's interesting. These fibers are used to make bowstrings. Isn't that interesting? And that's why it's called what? The, yes, viper's bowstring hemp. Wow. Of course, the viper means a snake, right? So, yep, we have the snake plant in all its glory. So, apart from what it's used for as a bowstring hemp, a strong plant fiber, which was once used to make bowstrings. You can see that fiber there. It is also now used, mainly we use the snake plant as an ornamental plant. Yeah, because outdoors in warmer climates, it does look beautiful, right? Indoors, the snake plant or the mother-in-law's tongue is used as a house plant. And this can also happen in cooler climates. It is so popular as a houseplant, as I mentioned before, because it just tolerates those low light levels. You can see where I placed it, right? I'm mentioning that again. Practically no sun. So it is what? It doesn't also need so much water. I told you that this was just watered like 2 weeks ago, and the soil is still quite very, very damp. You can even see new leaves growing from the base, from the rosettes that you could see at the lower level. And because of this, it needs only watering like maybe once every couple of months sometimes. Yeah, isn't that wonderful? Low light levels, resistant, irregular watering. It can grow even in winter, even indoors, only needs watering, every couple of months. Isn't that the perfect indoor house plant? I think it is, and I'm sure you think so too. Now, it will not do well if you water it too much. If you water the variegated snake plants too often, it will rot. It will rot. It will become rotten. And that is really, really true. It, don't overwater the snake plant. And because it is low maintenance, it's so easy to take care of the snake plant. It is recommended to beginners. Yeah, beginners like us, right? We're learning about houseplants, learning how to grow them in which environments, learning the names, getting to know more about the plants that we find in northern Nigeria and, in fact, all over the world. It's so fascinating. So, the snake plant, beginners grow it. It is perfect. if you're interested in cultivating houseplants that you can easily take care of, I will highly recommend the variegated snake plant, the Dracena trifasciata, the mother-in-law's tongue. Beautiful. Now, did you know that the NASA Clean Air Study found that the Dracena trifasciata, it has the potential to filter indoor air. It removes 4 of the 5 main toxins that are what? Involved in the effects of sick building syndrome. Wow. And so this snake plant, it filters toxins. Isn't that lovely? Lovely. But I must tell you that its rate of filtration is too slow, really, for practical indoor use. So how do you propagate this beautiful snake plant? The Dracena trifasciata, the mother-in-law's tongue. It can be propagated by its cuttings, or by dividing the rhizome. So I actually grew this, actually added extra leaves to it, to the soil, because initially it wasn't this full. This snake plant wasn't this full. So I got some more leaves and I planted it from the rhizome. As you can see, that's the rhizome. The rhizome is inside the soil. The first method, that's if you propagate it by cuttings, the variegation sometimes it may be lost, but I've not had that experience because I propagated it from the rhizome anyway. But it said that if you propagate it from cuttings, you lose the variegation. That's interesting. I never knew that if you plant it from the cuttings, that this variegation on the snake plant could be lost. That's interesting, really. And did you know that the Dracena trifasciata, the snake plant, is considered by some authorities as a potential weed in Australia? It's everywhere. And so it's regarded as a weed. Wow. Even though many of us use it as an ornamental plant because it's pretty, it's used to beautify areas, even in our tropics, in outdoors, indoors, in pots, in garden beds, and even in temperate areas as an indoor plant because it doesn't need much water, right? It doesn't need much light, right? So this plant, the snake plant, it contains what else? Saponins, which are mildly toxic to dogs and cats and can lead to them having a gastrointestinal upset if the dogs and cats consume this. You can be sure that dogs and cats are much smarter than this. Dogs and cats would never ever bite on poisonous plants because they seem to know which ones are poisonous, probably from experience. Maybe they probably took it before, once or twice, and they didn't feel good, and somehow they remembered. Who knows? And did you know that the snake plant is used in South Africa to actually treat ear infections? Wow. The snake plant used to treat ear infections in South Africa? That is wonderful. Do you want to know something else about the snake plant? Numerous cultivars have been developed, many of them for variegated foliage with yellow or silvery white stripes on the leaf margins. And so, popular cultivars include the compacta, the goldiana, the honey, the laurenti, the silversea, and silver hanai. Hanai was discovered in the 1999, in the 1939s by William W. Smith Jr. in the Crescent Nursery Company, New Orleans, Louisiana. The 1941 patent was assigned to Sylvan Frank Hahn of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So this was the variety, because there's so many varieties of the snake plants, right? The variety of the Dracena trifasciata var the laurenti, which is this beautiful mother-in-law's tongue, together with the cultivars Bantel Sensation and Golden Hanai, have gained the Royal Horticultural Society's Award of Garden Merit. Wow. So what are the non-variegated, those that don't have these transverse, these different colors. You can see light green, you can see dark green. So are there varieties that don't have this variegation? Well, I'll tell you that the non-variegated forms of the Dracaena trifasciata are often incorrectly sold as Sansevieria zealanica, which is actually a different kind of species which is rarely cultivated. What would you say that in Africa, this Dracaena trifasciata specimen with the yellow stripes on the leaf margins. Do you know that in Africa, these yellow stripes you can see by the side of the leaf margins are associated with what? With Oya, the female Orisha of storms. In Nigeria, do you know that this snake plant, is commonly linked with what? Ogun. Ogun is the Orisha of war and is used in rituals to remove the evil eye. So can you see that the snake plant actually has what? Has some form of cultural significance in Africa. And that is because it is widely distributed in Africa. And yes, in my northern Nigeria, you can believe that. In Brazil, where it is known as Espada de São Jorge, that's the St. George's sword. It is grown outside houses to ward off evil that might what? That might harm the home. Interesting, isn't it? As is the Dracaena angolensis, which is the St. George's spear. So this snake plant it plays an important part in the Afro-Brazilian syncretic religion, Umbanda, also representing the Orisha Ogun, as Ogun is syncretized with St. George. So many cultural and traditional significances. And can you believe that some of the yellow-edged varieties, like this snake plant, of the Dracaena trifasciata, they're called Espada de Santa Barbara, the sword of Saint Barbara. Yeah, and they're associated with what? Lança, the Umbanda name for Oya, Saint Barbara's syncretic Orisha pear. These types are grown to protect against inclement weather. Wow. So traditionally, in various cultures, the African culture, and even in Brazil, this plant is known to have a lot of religious significances, the word of evil spirits, it used word of evil, used word of, harm. And this snake plant is visible in where? On the porch in American Grant Wood's 1930 painting, American Gothic, just to show you how popular this plant has been over the years. In the 1930s, it has appeared in portraits. Isn't that pretty? Pretty, 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 pretty. Now, let me tell you some more about the Dracaena trifasciata, the snake plant, the mother-in-law's tongue. Wow, this variegated snake plant with its striking striped leaves is indeed a marvel of resilience. It thrives in a variety of environments, whether it is what? In a sunny spot or a dim corner of a room, just like here in this area of my room, just by the corner, near the mirror. Can you see that? Wow, it's so hardy. That means it doesn't die easily. It doesn't need any special conditions to thrive. It's an indoor plant. Doesn't need much light. Look at where it is. Doesn't need much water. I watered it just about 2 weeks ago. So pretty and so lovely. What else do you want to know about it? Yes, since it's so hardy, it means it requires minimal watering. It makes it such a perfect companion for those of us that want the beauty of the greenery without the high maintenance of, taking care of plants, watering them, cutting them, putting them near the sun. And this plant not only adds a touch of nature to any space, but also purifies the air. It makes it a popular choice for both homes and offices, indoors and outdoors. It can grow in full sun, in partial sun, and in no sun at all. The snake plant, the mother-in-law's tongue. So how do you water your snake plant? Water your snake plant only when the top 2 to 3 inches of soil are completely dry. Can you see that this is not even, it's just a bit, it's not wet, the soil is not wet, but the snake plants are still thriving. They don't look unhealthy, right? They're taking in the soil, they're taking in the water, they're keeping the water within the leaves, all right? So it's better to underwater than actually overwater a snake plant. You can see how just lightly moist, right? The soil, just watered just about 2 weeks ago, not too wet. So it's better to underwater your snake plant than overwater a snake plant, as they are susceptible to what? Root rot. The roots can become rotten and you lose these beautiful, beautiful leaves. Look at this beautiful beauty, the young one growing up. Look at the young ones, the young adults. Can you see them? From the rosette, growing so beautifully next to the older ones that have the yellow stripes just by the side. Pretty, 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 pretty. So don't leave your snake plant inside soggy soil. That is a big, 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 big mistake, right? It's a big mistake. And about the snake plant, which is so pretty, so lovely, so wonderful, I must tell you that the snake plant, or the Sansevieria trifasciata, it is native not only to Africa, not only native to my northern Nigeria, not only native to Africa, but also it is native to Asia. It's known for its air purifying abilities, right? Low maintenance. The viper's bowstring hemp, and it is known to be slightly toxic to cats, all right? So do not consume it, my fellow human beings. Only water it, as I told you before, only if what? The top 2 to 3 inches of the soil are completely dry, like what I'm doing here. It's not too wet. So I watered it just about 2 weeks ago and it is thriving well. It is keeping the moisture within the leaves and it is surviving and doing well as an indoor plant. This is an older leaf, as you can see. Probably it might soon die. I might soon have to remove it, but you can see this full beauty of the mother-in-law's tongue. The viper's what? The viper's bowstring hemp with the fibers that are used to make what? Bowstring. You can see the fibers there, very strong fibers, very pretty. It is generally, it thrives well, low indirect sunlight, and it is better to underwater than overwater a snake plant. As I mentioned before, it is indeed the snake plant, the variegated snake plant is indeed what? A marvel of resilience. It thrives in a variety of environments. Whether it's a sunny spot or a dim corner, it is perfect, adding a touch of nature to your room. What do you think of the snake plant, the variegated snake plant? Tell me what it's called in your country and how much do they sell it in your country? In my country, they could sell a pot like this, maybe like I don't know. So if let's say this is sold for like, this could probably be sold for something like maybe 15,000 naira. And if you multiply 15,000 by the exchange rate, what do we get? So that I could tell you how much it costs, let's say in dollars. So if let's say it's 15,000 naira and we multiply it by the current exchange rate here in Nigeria, you could buy this um, snake plant for, let's say, let me see, let me just do the math. Yeah, let me see. So let's say 20,000 multiplied by, let's say this. So let's say this. I don't think I'm getting the right amount. Anyway, so let me just do it again one more time and see whether I'll get an answer. So 1.5 times what? Maybe let's say 20,000. So let's say about, I'm not getting the right answer. Anyway, guys, what do you think of the variegated snake plant? Is it pretty? Well, pretty, 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 pretty. Tell me more about the variegated snake plant, what you do with it in your own environment, where you're coming from, and we can talk more in the chat section. The variegated snake plants. The what? The viper's bowstring hemp. The mother-in-law's tongue. The Dracaena trifasciata. Pretty, 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 pretty. And you can bet that you will be able to take care of this plant by yourself. Definitely. It is a beauty to behold. Just look at that. Lovely, right? Lovely, lovely, lovely. Admire the beauty after the lessons. Yeah. I'm trying to get you to have a look at it. Yeah. So admire the beauty of this plant. Let me see. Yeah. Trying to get you to admire it. Yeah, so admire it in all its beauty, right? The variegated snake plant. A pretty beauty. just take a picture to make it pretty for the thumbnail. Yep. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Pretty, of course. Hi there. Pretty in the picture. Oh. Pretty in the picture. Remaining one. I hope you learned a lot about the snake plant, otherwise known as the Sansevieria laurenti or Sansevieria trifasciata. Quite pretty and lovely. You learned a lot, and I hope to see you again very soon on my live stream. The mother-in-law's tongue, or the trifasciata. Trifasciata. Love it.